Hello and welcome back to the Halcyon Top 5 list, where I'm going to count down my top 5 favourite thingamabobs within a topical subject. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking about those moments in gaming that make you want to throw your controller at an elderly person. These are the top 5 gaming letdowns of the last 20 years of my life, at least anyway. There's going to be a couple of ground rules for this episode, specifically that it has to have had enough time for the buzz to have built to a proportion that was still deliverable. We're not talking about games that necessarily overhyped what they could do. We're talking about games that underdelivered based on what was realistic in its expectations, or we're talking about instances that are consistent, continually let gamers down and only increase in the amount that they let you down year after year or instance after instance that they happen. And as with previous episodes, I'm only going to mention one special mention in this episode, which is Pokemon Go. The reason why it was disappointing is, number one, masses of people seem to forget that Pokemon Yellow, Blue and Red existed and that you could just buy a cable and connect and battle each other, but whatever, that would involve actual human interaction. And secondly, it made Wellingborough town, a place I live very close to, look like a crack den for a number of weeks, with hordes of people just lining the streets looking like they were waiting for their next hit of crack.
Shazam! Red balls! Cocaine in a can, baby!
So, yeah, Pokemon Go, not a great source of fun and excitement for me. As I reviewed it previously, it just wasn't a goer for me and let me down when its concept was presented. Anyway, rant over. Here's my top 5 gaming letdowns. Coming in number 5 is DLC, as in the concept. And I mean every single game that was released circa 1999 through to today that was released incomplete. Imagine it. You play a game, get invested, work your arse off to get to the climax of it all, only to find you didn't get the full experience. It's bullshit, right? Only that's gaming culture in a nutshell these days. Due to the onset of online being integrated into every game that's released nowadays, and the ever-increasing amount of disposable income gamers are prepared to invest in their titles of choice, developers are taking larger and larger chunks out of their games to sell back to us down the line. One specifically sticks out in my mind, Pokemon Go, where gamers across the world forgot the original Yellow, Blue and Red even existed and decided to clutter parks and roads to catch Pokemon, and then somehow decided it was a great idea to spend more money buying extra things to enhance their experience. Gaming is on a slippery slope, and if gamers care about the quality of product they receive, then they need to be cautious. But in the meantime, the concept of DLC has led to a ton of gaming letdowns that people may never forgive, hence why DLC as a whole makes number 5 on the list. Coming in number 4 is Knights of the Old Republic 2, specifically its ending, considering the resources and the hype that was behind the first one. After LucasArts and BioWare created a masterpiece in the original Knights of the Old Republic game, expectation was high for the sequel, and to be frank, no one expected it to come out quite so soon. So in retrospect, it should not have been such a surprise that it was so unfinished and led to one of the biggest ball drops of an ending in a game ever. The fact that the change from BioWare to Obsidian was there, and the fact that Obsidian had to rush it out is a point I take. But then, make the game ending at least make some sense instead of a disjointed mess that it ended up being. And an ending that boils down to a fortune teller making a bunch of Easter eggs for Uber fans to get excited about, but left everybody else completely confused about what the hell she was talking about.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
The whole thing felt so pointless and futile when you completed the game with no resolution, no payoff for your efforts, and that was on top of a game that I felt graphically let the side down, with the only real innovations being a few new powers and floaty cloaks. If you have the nerve to play a game for 30 hours to understand what I'm talking about, then you go for it. But for me, I have no desire to replay this game, and if ever LucasArts decide to resurrect the franchise, then I'll hold out for a HD version of the first game before I ask for a new one of these. Otherwise, I would recommend you stay well clear of this game ending. Resist the urge to see what I'm talking about. Coming in at number 3 is the fact that we still have no Elder Scrolls 6. This one was a two-pronged expectation smasher. After so many years when I heard there was going to be a new Elder Scrolls game, I was legitimately giddy as a kid, because I'd only just gotten into Skyrim, loading perhaps 203 hours worth of investment in that game, and I was salivating at the prospect of an even better one to come. Then it was announced that it was going to be an online game, and it wasn't even going to be produced by or developed by Bethesda themselves. So I rolled my eyes and got on getting excited about Mass Effect Andromeda. And that turned out well, at least. Then it comes out that Bethesda are spending their time on a HD remake of Skyrim rather than a new game, when the PC modding community had made HD versions of the game years prior. The fact that Bethesda later came out with Fallout 4, which is indeed a gem of a game, is some consolation, but my frustration at waiting for what seems like an eternity for the 6th Elder Scrolls game is paralleled only by my hatred of those giant spiders that keep falling from the goddamn ceiling for no reason that no one told me about before I started playing the game. Those things right in their hairy, spindly ears. Numbers 2 and 1 could have gone in each position, quite frankly, because both of them infuriate me as much as the next. But it was specific reasons why I'm putting number 2 at number 2 and number 1 at number 1. Number 2 is Mass Effect 3's ending, and I'm talking about the original one, not this bullshit one where they released it 2 months after with freeze frames, yay! No, I'm talking about the original release ending of Mass Effect 3. That ending. After perhaps 150 hours of gameplay across 3 games, all the missions, all the deaths, all the tears, all the sex scenes to arrive at that ending. And we got that stinking, steaming pile of crap. That ending was a personal insult to anyone who gave a shit about the Mass Effect series, flying in the face of the things that were fundamental and integral to making the series compelling, with the idea of choice and defying stigma and the odds being at the forefront of the game, being ahead of even gameplay. And instead of something compelling or satisfying, we were given 3 choices. What colour do you want, and how would you like Shepard to die? And that's it. Now, just remember how much investment in the lore that most fans put into the franchise, how much extra material and spin-off material was sold because of how much the fans loved the universe and the characters within. And they all die, basically. All of them. For no reason. Because in none of the endings is it possible to have a happy ending with every species, without them turning on each other, all dying, or in a long-term scenario, if you apply logic, killing themselves. And I don't want to hear about some crappy cutscenes and a press release from BioWare. If it wasn't in the original release, then it serves only to highlight the scale of the f***up. That some Tekken-style freeze-frame caption scenes were somehow better than the ending they spent 3 years hyping up and the one that we got. However, I suspect strongly that ending had something to do with the next entry, given that BioWare were not the source of the problems in this game. So, we arrive at number 1. Now, what could have pissed me off more than the gaming series that I loved most in this world dropping the ball at the final hour? Well, let's talk about the company that was responsible for the ball drop in the first place. EA, as in everything they do every single year. EA are without a doubt a blight on the gaming industry, being partially responsible for 2 of the entries on this list and influencing a 3rd at least, and to my mind have contributed nothing of note, nothing of merit, and nothing positive to the gaming industry as a whole. Their practices are no better exemplified than by their lack of annual effort on what is coming up to 10 years worth of FIFA games that follow the same pattern and same output every single year. Nearly 10 years of virtually the same product with a new tagline, the previous year scratched off of the case, and a new year taped over it, with the last great hope for some innovation coming in the form of the Journey mode, which was original at least in its concept, but ended up being about as original and interesting as a tin of beige paint, except for the tin of beige paint has more features and does not have DLC packs to come. And the fact that its fan base are so happy with the product to the point that EA feel no inclination or no desire to change this aspect of their games leads them to be even lazier when it comes to how they market the game, knowing that YouTube and console sales will drive their own bottom line. But the reason they top this list is because of their effect on the industry as a whole, in that the success of these particular practices leads others to their decline and leads other developers and other gaming industry practices as a whole to get lazier. And I fear that over the oversaturation of the content that they produce, the relative poor quality of that content could lead to dark days for gamers down the road when the bubble bursts and the days of such a lucrative market are far, far removed from where we are now. I love gaming and I play FIFA, but I want more from my games. I want more effort put into them, more originality, pushing the boundaries of what is possible or plausible. And EA are the main reason why we are not further ahead in that pursuit, and they are the reason why gaming as a whole is where we are today. And for that reason, and that reason alone, EA and their lack of effort and their do not give a shit attitude to the gaming industry tops the gaming letdowns list for the Halcyon Top 5 list. And those were my top 5 gaming letdowns. I'm gonna go punch a cat now. Cruel, I know, but so is the gaming industry on gamers. If you've resisted the urge to throw your controller at your computer screen, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. As with previous episodes, please check out other content creators in the panel below. I really appreciate you if you do go check them out and sub for them and then support. And thank you very much again for GFY Productions and BBK Smasher for giving me shout outs in their last videos or putting me in top 5's list. I love you guys so much. In the meantime, thank you very much again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next top 5 list.